What if one of history's greatest military defeats had gone the other way? What if Napoleon had won at Waterloo? I'm your host, and this is Perilous, and today we are answering the extraordinary question, what if Napoleon had won at Waterloo? Napoleon's defeat at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815 is one of the most famous events in all of human history. And it marked the end of the Napoleonic Wars, which for more than a decade had ravaged Europe and in which half a continent had been conquered by one man. But what if Napoleon had pulled off a victory at Waterloo? How would Europe and indeed the world have been different if he had? Well, immediately following his victory, Napoleon would have returned to Paris as a conquering hero and probably would have been acclaimed as emperor once more. The other European powers would have been forced to recognize him as such, and peace talks would likely have started immediately. Now, these might have gone one of two ways. In the first, Napoleon, emboldened by his recent victory and still at the height of his powers, would have pushed for more. He might have demanded the annexation of all of Belgium and the Netherlands, as well as a slice of northern Italy and the return of the Low Countries territories which had been taken from him in the peace settlement of 1814. He might even have pressed his advantage and tried to take more, perhaps even aiming to reconquer all of the territories lost during the war, including France's former possessions in the Low Countries as well as territories in Germany and Italy. It's even conceivable that he might have tried to invade and conquer Britain itself. After all, after Waterloo, he was supposedly unconcerned about facing the British army in battle and even remarked that he could beat them easily. Of course, with hindsight, we know this isn't true and that any invasion would have almost certainly failed, but who's to say for sure? Perhaps a victorious Napoleon really would have managed to pull it off. But let us assume that he instead took the opposite approach and decided that Waterloo was quite enough and that he wanted peace. He might have been willing to give back some or all of the Low Countries in exchange for guarantees of non-intervention from the other European powers. In fact, this is essentially what happened in reality. But the difference now would be that there would be no legitimacy concerns, as Napoleon would be returning to the throne having just defeated the coalition sent to destroy him. So whatever he agreed to with the other European powers would be much more likely to last. Furthermore, with a newly secure western border, Napoleon might finally have been able to turn his attention to the east and the seemingly intractable problem of the Ottoman Empire. If he had done this, and if he had been successful, then we might today be speaking French in Istanbul. Finally, let's consider the effect of Napoleon's victory at Waterloo on the future of the French monarchy. In our timeline, the Bourbon family were restored to the throne after Napoleon's final defeat, and this had a profound effect on the future development of France, not least because it led to the July Revolution of 1830, which saw the deposition of Charles X and the rise of Louis-Philippe, the first of the House of Orleans, which in turn helped to bring about the February Revolution of 1848 and the end of the Bourbon Restoration. If Napoleon had remained in power, though, then perhaps the July Revolution would have been put down and the Bourbons would have remained in power until the Second World War, and this in turn might have had the effect of France's becoming a more conservative country and potentially a less revolutionary one too. Of course, we can only speculate as to how things might have played out had Napoleon won at Waterloo. The point of this and other similar thought experiments is not to provide definitive answers, but rather to illustrate just how important this battle was and to consider what might have been had such a pivotal moment in history played out in a different way. So what do you think? Would Napoleon have gone on to conquer all of Europe or perhaps even the world? Or would he have used his secure position to institute an enlightened despotism in France? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and as a special treat, why not watch our video playlist which should have popped up. You can click on the link provided for that. Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe if you haven't already and join our growing community of history and what if enthusiasts. We've got lots more videos coming up, including more of your counterfactual history questions answered. So don't go anywhere. Thank you again for watching and goodbye.